Hi sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash that subscribe button and turn on your notification so you are notified each time I upload. And please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all so much, and I am saying massive shout out to every one of you for all the love and support you all give me here. I am truly grateful. Thank you all so much. So today we'll be checking out something, and this is really an amazing video, and you can see the conversations going on between a black person and a white person. There is nobody actually, but you will see. I mean, when you start watching, you're gonna see, like, you know, the black person and the white person, how they are conversing and all that. Also the stitch, there is something I need to say. There is something you're gonna see, it might trigger you, because a black person said that he doesn't think that he's suffering from anything, like, you know, maybe what the white people did back then during the slavery and all that, that he doesn't believe that maybe like what they did back then, like, you know, affected them or is still affecting them. That as long as he has siblings, he has a roof over his head, he has career that he's trying to, or he has a passion he's trying to turn into career and all that, that he doesn't think that he is suffering from anything or from the past, anything that got to do from the past and all that. And he went further to say that for reparations, that he is kind of not sure if reparations, he is up for it or against it. And I am saying that you cannot take what you are against. You cannot take what you are against. If you say you don't think reparation, that black people deserve reparation, make sure you do not go for reparations. Make sure you do not collect any proceeds, anything that comes to. Make sure you and your entire family do not collect it. Because you can say that you are against reparation, or you are kind of 50-50 against on reparation. But when reparations is being paid, you and your family will go and take it. I don't care who you are. If you are against it, do not collect it. I mean, this video is really part, like, you know, it's really a must see, and I am just going to roll this clip. We'll come back to talk about it, and let me know what you all think in the comment section, and straight up I am rolling the clip.
God, all white people are racist. That statement is racist. White people can't be victims of racism. Any discrimination based on skin color is racism. No, racism only exists when discrimination carries the power to oppress. And since white people have all the power, they can't be oppressed. If they can't be oppressed, then they can't be victims of racism. You're just changing the definition of racism to justify discrimination. And even by your definition, a vulnerable white person can still suffer racism from a powerful black person. Race was created by white people so that Europeans could justify the maintenance of the Atlantic trade route, which sustained whole industries upon the stolen resources and labor of indigenous people in the Americas and Africa. Africans sold their own people into slavery, not because of race, but even freed slaves went on to own slaves. That's just internalized racism. But why are we still talking about this? Didn't the civil rights movement rectify racism? It's not rectified until black people get the reparations they deserve. White people shouldn't be punished for the deeds of their ancestors. Black people are being punished for the deeds of white people's ancestors. Most white people are not descendants of slave owners. Yeah, but they still benefit from the economic prosperity that slavery brought to this country. So do black people. If you go back far enough, all of us are descendants of tragedy and horror. Are you all lives mattering me right now? I just don't think that white children should grow up feeling guilty because they're born white. And black children shouldn't be made to feel lazy, dumb, dirty, or violent simply because they're black. Agreed. People should just treat each other equally regardless of race. We tried that, but equal treatment of all races produces unequal outcomes in a racist society. Race-neutral policies have left black people with worse health outcomes, underfunded schools, and mass incarceration. All of those racial inequalities are the trickle-down effect of past racism. But those effects are reinforcing themselves because our institutions are still systemically racist. Things like affirmative action would allow more black students to get into universities. Why can't their merit get them in the universities on their own? Because university admissions are biased towards students that have white values, white educational standards, and white perspectives. Education is education. There is no racial bias in math or science. Of course there is. The search for objective truth is an enlightenment value that privileges truth to the majority perspective. But that's a democracy. Do you know how hard it is for poor black families to escape poverty when their schools are underfunded, medical workers are unfamiliar with black bodies, and predatory lending leaves them drowning in debt? Isn't it possible that black culture's tendency to view their suffering through the lens of racism might be holding black people back? The worst parts of black culture are a product of racism. Rap music might be leading to increased violence. Rap is just a healthy expression of young people's pain and anger. Okay, but soul food isn't the healthiest food in the world. It only became unhealthy because slaves couldn't find or afford the ingredients to the original African recipes. But despite comparable economic conditions, black people on average buy more luxury items like cars and jewelry. Black people don't have the privilege of being respected on sight, and so they buy valuable things to be treated treated as valuable. But that sounds like class discrimination, not race. They're synonymous in America. Most black people are middle class. And yet that's not what you see in the news. Black crime is all you hear about. And don't even get us started on the over-policing of black neighborhoods. They aren't over-policed, they're under-policed. What? Crime is higher in densely populated cities. Black people are higher in population in those cities. Higher crime in smaller areas means that officers are spread thin, therefore less efficient and more aggressive policing ensues. Plus, black people do commit more racial crimes than white people. No, most black people just live closer to white neighborhoods than white people live close to black neighborhoods. But that doesn't explain why black people commit most of the murders in this country. That's just because white neighborhoods are less policed, so white people are more likely to get away with murder. But black communities are benefiting the most from mass incarceration. Crime rates are dropping. Explain to me how stealing fathers from the home benefits families when having a two-parent home is one of the biggest predictors of health and wealth outcomes in children. Criminals don't make good fathers. Some kids are better off in a one-parent household than a house full of gangbanging and drug dealing. The prison system is creating these criminals by releasing them with more psychological damage than they went in with. That is, if they aren't killed before they're arrested. If it wasn't for social media, police officers wouldn't even be held accountable for their brutality. But it's also social media that fed us the rage that led to riots and looting during the BLM protests. Or they just wanted a reason to go outside. They were fighting for justice. But then the whole anti-racist movement created a cult of white zombies that hated themselves for doing nothing wrong. Ooh, your white fragility is showing. I'm only half white. You're white passing. You don't know me or what I've been through. You might be oppressed, but you aren't oppressed for the color of your skin. Defining me by what I haven't suffered tells you nothing about who I am or what my life is like. Plus, racial diversity quotas have made being white a huge disadvantage to employment, dating, and admissions. No, it just created opportunities for minorities that were once marginalized. And we're only forcing representation until we can remove the obstacles that are keeping diversity from happening naturally. But if we're competing for the same number of jobs based on race, white people, as the majority population, have a far larger pool of people to compete with. Oh my god, why do white people insist on pretending to be oppressed? Because the only alternative given to them is to be racist. Intersectionality has created the Oppression Olympics, causing everyone to clamor for any minority status that might move them up the rungs of victimhood. And critical race theory embraces the Marxist idea that if you're not oppressed, you're automatically an oppressor. And they want to teach this to our children. It's the truth. Your wealth is always at the expense of the poor. Do we really want to be teaching kids that a happy, healthy life is reserved for those who have power over others? Better than black kids being confused about why life is so much harder for them than their white counterparts. Why do you think black people think bleaching their skin will make them more desirable? I don't know. White people tan their skin to appear more desirable. That's different. Black people straighten their hair to assimilate into the white workplace, while white girls get butt implants to appropriate black culture. It's not always appropriation. Sometimes it's appreciation. Celebrities using black hairstyles, slangs, trends, and fashion aren't adopting the culture. They're siphoning the attention that should be going to black people. They're also bringing more eyes, money, and power to the culture at the same time. That's how cultures grow. No, that's how they get erased. Integration is cultural genocide for minorities. Culture is supposed to change. It's an evolving toolkit of best practices. That's a colonizer's view of culture. Culture is the memory of our ancestors and the wisdom they passed down to us. Then why, as Americans with cultural influences from around the world, do we keep referring to our culture as whiteness or blackness? Because being black in America is a unique experience. Every black person in America knows what it feels like to be discriminated against. But the assumption that all black people think, feel, and act the same is the same logic that led to racism in the first place. You don't know what it's like growing up without role models in power that look like you. If the only depiction of your race in films is servants and gangsters, you start to assume that's all you're capable of being. What era do you live in? Black people are represented in films as heroes, scholars, presidents, and scientists. Why does it even matter? No one struggles to relate to leads that dress differently or have different hair color from them. We need white people to see power and beauty associated with minorities. It's not just to feel pride in ourselves, it's for other people to understand our perspectives. Sure, but voicing an animated character that's not your race is being treated as if it's blackface. We can discuss that after they take down all the statues of Confederate slave owners. But we can't judge history based on modern ethical standards. But we don't need to glorify them either. I'm pretty sure cancel culture already skewered anyone with racist intent. Overt racism might be dying, but covertly, people still discriminate based on race. Every group of people tends to prefer and feel safe with people similar to them. That implicit bias is still racism. There's only so much microaggression a black person can take. I think you're both mistaking genuine confusion and curiosity for aggression. Most white people only act awkwardly in front of black people because they're scared of saying or doing something that can be seen as offensive. Treating black people like idiots, accusing them of stealing, and belittling service industry workers is not an accident. Nobody's approving of Karen behavior. I was just talking about hair touching and unnecessary compliments. It's gonna take way too much emotional labor to explain this to you. But I want to understand. Don't I deserve that? What are we going to do about it? America is a cultural melting pot, a social experiment that's pushing the limits of humans' capacity to collaborate and empathize with people unlike them. I'd like to think that we still have a chance at proving to the world that human beings can rise above their tribalistic impulses. But both sides of the racial debate aren't even fighting for a just and equal society anymore. We're all just fighting for the right to see ourselves as good people. Racism is alive and thriving, but it's hiding in our disgust for ourselves and our willingness to hurt each other to signal our virtue, to be empathized with, to feel like we belong. All we do is shuck responsibility back and forth by throwing statistics at each other. But there's no amount of data that's going to teach us how to see ourselves and others. Only by working together towards a shared goal, by co-creating culture, businesses, relationships, and art, will we be able to expand our in-group, perhaps one day to the entirety of humanity. Only then will we see clearly that the only obstacle that ever stood between us and the best version of our species was the illusion that we're somehow separate from each other. Slaves went on to own slaves. That's just internalized.
This was the only point I really wanted to make a stitch on. Even freed slaves went back and bought slaves. So even putting 1 second of critical thought to that one would tell you that obviously they were buying back their family that they were separated from. I didn't think I would have to say that, but why else would you think a freed slave would go out and go buy a slave? Why else did you think that would? I mean, this one was easy too. I'm surprised people say this one. They're going back to buy their family members, bro. Like, that one was easy. The other shit y'all can fight about.
Black people are being punished for the deeds of white people's ancestors.
As I stand here, roof over my head, clothes on my back, a bed to sleep in, a mom that loves me, a dad that I can text, sisters that are alive, a dream that I'm turning into a career. I want to know what fucking suffering am I doing from past people? Do I believe in the idea of reparations? Honestly? Kinda. But I am not suffering from no white man's ancestors. Don't you ever put a thumb... Not the person in this video. This video is actually really good. But as far as people that think like that, because there are people that do, don't ever put me under a thumb like that. I am not suffering nobody else's ancestors' mistakes. I'm not.
All right, I think this is absolutely great. He did a great job with the analysis and all that. And let me say, if you do not think reparation is important, then make sure when they are paying for reparations, make sure you don't touch it. Make sure you don't take it. Make sure you and your entire family do not touch it. All right? All right, so let's get into there is something that has really been on my mind from the video, and it said, if you are not oppressed, it means you are depressed, right? Sorry, it means you are oppressed, and you might be the oppressor, all right? Some of them really refuse to understand this, that most times they tell you that they are not oppressed, or it is not affecting them. When it is not affecting them, sometimes I want you to know that you might be the one, you are the one oppressing people. And knowing that, or accepting the fact that you are oppressing people, or you and your other entire people are oppressing people, it's another way to change your mentality. Because you all can keep doing or saying all you all have been doing and saying all this way, and then come back to because somehow you will see the white person and you also will see the black person. You will know that the white person was trying to gaslight the black person. And absolutely, this is a very brilliant piece. I enjoyed it. And like I said, if you say you do not believe in reparations, you don't think there is need for reparations, or you're kinda, please make sure that when reparations are being paid, make sure that you and your entire family do not get any proceed from it, because you can collect what you are against or what you are not sure. Yeah, so this is just my take on this. And this is where I'm going to draw the curtain. Thank you all so much for all the support. I appreciate you all. Let me know what you all think. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye for now.